the Public Works Committee meeting for Thursday, October 27th, 2016. Roll call, please.
Mr. Angelbont?
Here.
Mr. Barris? Mr. Brame was unable to attend. Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Guidry? He may be late or unable to attend. He's out of town on business but was coming in. Mr. Guillory was unable to attend. Mr. Hunter?
Here.
President Landry was unable to attend. Mr. Latour?
Here.
Ms. Mayo?
Here.
Mr. McMillan?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mrs. Trimmy? Here. Mr. White?
Here.
And Chairman Foreman.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll take a personal privilege from Mr. Latour at this time.
Oh, thank you.
Anna?
I'm going to go down to Hello, everyone. We have some people here. I'd like for y'all to possibly come up. Mr. Colin Knoll, Mr. Ethan Vincent. How y'all doing? These are some Club Scouts. You doing better? How you doing? Okay, we have two special guests here tonight from Weblo Den 115 out of Bishop Nolan Apostolic Day School's 5th grade. First, Mr. Collins is from Lake Charles. His parents are Dr. Annette Knoll and Lieutenant Robert Knoll. Second, Mr. Ethan Vincent is from Iowa. His parents are Stephen and Catherine Vincent. Miss Catherine actually works at the Office of Juvenile Justice Services. These young men have been given a specific task to meet this year, which is to attend a government meeting and speak with government leaders. They are here to fulfill these requirements and have two questions they would like to ask the jurors. So, Mr. Collins, could you ask, please?
What energy problems do we have in our community, and what causes the issues?
All right, Mr. Knoll, maybe I'll take a stab at that. What do you think the answer is? You look just curious.
No idea.
No idea? Well, you know, it is a good question, Colin. I'm glad you're interested in learning about that. You know, where we live is considered an energy coast, and because of the vital resources we have here in crude oil and natural gas, we're literally the gas station for the country, if not the world. So in the very near future, you're going to see more and more of these big industrial plants being built here in order to refine these products to be able to be shipped out all across the country, if not the world. But with that comes a little bit of a cost. You know, we're going to have to, our population is going to grow. We're going to need more people here. We already have the best workforce in the world right here because we have the best people in the world, but we're going to need some help. We're going to need a few more people to come here and kind of give us a hand actually building these plants, getting everything together. But there is a cost in that. Our roads need to be bigger. They need to be better. Our ditches need to drain a little better. The way we do things need to get better. But all of that being said, we still love where we live. We still like to go fishing. We still like to go hunting. We still like to go out on our boats and walk through the woods. So we have to make sure that we're taking care of our environment. And so when we go through all these major changes, we just want to make sure that we take care of our environment. And so by doing that, we take care of our federal regulations, our parish and our state laws, just to make sure that whatever we do, we keep environment and people up at the top of the list. How's that sound?
Pretty good.
You meant, now, can you give it back to me?
You did a good job. All right, our next.
How long does it take to develop the budget used to support our community?
I guess that's me.
Tammy could answer that.
That's a real good question. It actually kind of takes all year, but the process starts in September, and there's a collaboration set up between the different groups of staff. Each department goes and they talk about their needs and what their plans are for the following year, and they collaborate real well to take that input and put it together and try to reduce the numbers as much as they can to ease the burden on the taxpayers of the parish. So the process starts in September and it goes through about mid-November, and then it's brought to the budget committee for approval. They talk about all the different facets of the budget, and then after that, after the budget committee meets on it and goes through their process, then they take it to the full jury for approval in late November or early December, if I remember those dates pretty close. So we have our Director of Finance, Ms. Buffkin, and she does a really, really good job of taking care of the taxpayers of this parish. So her and her staff work really hard, and they're probably about burnt out by the end of November on that process, along with all the staff heads and departments in general. So it's a process that we go through. So it's well thought out and well laid out for the citizens of the parish.
Yes, it is. I want to thank you for some very good answers and some very good questions. We have a few bags for y'all. Maybe we can take a few pictures. What y'all think?
Go ahead, Joe.
Make sure the paper gets a copy. News release.
Thank you guys for coming here tonight and showing an interest in what we do up here. As you can see, there's kind of not so many people out there that take that same interest. So we appreciate y'all coming. So with that, we'll move on to item 3, presentation by Mr. Tom Hafer, Director of Communications and Media of the Police Jury website redesign.
And good evening. Thank you. Tom Hafer, Communications and Media Director. Before we get into the new website, I do have a very exciting announcement, at least from the CGov perspective. I know a lot of you that have part of your districts are in the Vive broadband area. We've been off the air for about the last month and a half. Before that, we were on and off for a good long time. We have finally this week reached an agreement with Suddenlink. They'll be providing a fiber optic feed from their equipment over to Vive broadband. It will actually be much higher quality, much more reliability. We'll be on the air and we'll be permanently on the air. The second part of that that's even more exciting to me is the fact that they are going to offer the channel to us now in HD. So within the next few months, we'll be going from the standard definition to HD, and we're really, really excited about that. I look about 10 years older in HD than I do in SD. Just warning you about that. So that's all exciting. Onto the website. Mr. Hunter kind of spoiled our surprise with this a few weeks ago when he saw the website had gone live. We went live with it and actually didn't say anything about it because we had to work out a few kinks in it. And also, a lot of computers don't update very quickly, and you might be still getting the old version for several days afterwards. So that's why we didn't say anything. We announced it about 3 weeks ago, and we're very pleased with what's happening with it. I do want to thank Ms. Julie Fay. She is our web content coordinator here. She did the vast majority of the work on it. I also want to thank Alberto Galan and Lindsay Powers, who are on our committee that helped to go with the design. You'll notice our previous website was very green and brown. We wanted to continue with that, the natural beauty of Calcasieu Parish, continue with those themes. We did add a little bit of blue to it this year, and we're very pleased with the design. We discovered some interesting things in working with the company, the Vision Internet, that is our web provider. Our temptation, of course, is we want to promote the things that we're interested in and we think that are very important. But the people that are coming to our website have a very different idea of it. They want to come for what is important to them. So we did a lot of research into where people were going to our website, how they were getting there. And we found out that the most important things to our constituents were permits, jobs, and our GIS application. So what we've done and what was advised to us to do was we tried to make it as easy to find those important things as we possibly could. You'll notice these buttons here. We got permits over here. We got jobs over here. We got GIS here. We've got permits up here. We've got jobs up here. You can find them through these links as well. We tried to make 4, even 5 different pathways to get to those important things. So if I want to find jobs, I can click right here and I'll go to jobs. I can click over here and get to jobs. I can search for jobs. Get there that way. I can go to I want to apply for a job. We tried as many different ways, and the reason for that is that people don't necessarily know where to go to apply for a job or what the terminology is exactly. So we've tried to make it as, as user-friendly as we possibly could to get there. We did that with just about everything, and we think so far it's been a success, and we're very pleased with that. Our old website, which was good, was introduced in 2009, so you can see in the digital world it's a little bit outdated. One of the problems with it is it really didn't look very good on a cellular phone, which we discovered that about 30% of our web traffic was coming from mobile devices. So what we did was, we're very proud of this, we created what's called our mobile application. It's not an app, it's the website, actually the servers that provide the website detect what type of device you're using, and if it's a mobile phone, it gives you a design like this. And it looks like an iPhone with all of the apps on it. So it's very easy to use. It's familiar to the way people use their phones. We just think it's a lot more pleasing to look at, a lot easier to use that way. And it also, if you have a tablet, it will give you a little slightly different design than if you're using it on a desktop computer. With the mobile application, we also have what's called the Report a Problem link, which is right here. This is to replace what we did have previously was our Eagle app, which was a very innovative thing, but it was also expensive to do. This is how people who see a pothole or a loose dog or a drainage issue, those kind of things, they can report it, and just doing it on their cell phone, take a picture of it, send it to us, give us the exact location, and we are able to internally, distribute it to the right department, get the people out there that need to fix whatever the problem is. Also, I think you'll like this on our mobile design, is we have a Find Your Police Juror link. So, there you all are. Judd's not here. Should we call him? Click on Mr. Barras, and I can send him an email, or on the mobile side, you can just click on the cell phone number and dial it right up. So we wanted to make it easy for people to be in contact with their police jurors, and we think we succeeded with that very well. We do have one other item with the website. In the event of an emergency, typically it would be a hurricane, could be some other type of emergency situation. We have an entirely different website that will pop up and just be for emergency uses, and it will instruct people on how to get sandbags and where to go for evacuation routes, those types of things. That's what we have. Any questions? Any comments?
What's it going to look like on this phone?
Going to be fantastic.
It'll look just like that phone does at this very minute.
Tom, could you navigate to the GIS for me real quick, see how easy that is on this new system?
Let's go back to the other site.
The other one, I never could remember how to get to it, so maybe this will make it much easier.
Right here, GIS maps.
Yeah.
Takes you to the same site.
Does it?
Let's see if I have Silverlight. One of the issues with the GIS is you have to download a program to actually use it. There we go. We're good. This GIS site, ours is outstanding, and the amount of traffic that it gets is really, really remarkable. O'Neill Abear and his crew do a terrific job. Land developers, real estate people, people buying houses, all using that all the time. We get a ton of repeat customers on that. They're here all the time with that.
And I guess, what's the time lapse in what we're seeing versus the GIS? I mean, is it
I think different
6 months out, 3 months out? What was it?
It's about that. It depends on what you're looking for. Some things are less than that, like a home sale or something like that. I think it would be quite a bit less than 6 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, sorry I spoiled it, but I was really impressed when I pulled it up. I think I pulled it up on my phone a couple weeks ago, and I saw, wow, what was this? This is a lot easier to navigate. Can you go back to the mobile page again? So,
Hang on.
I wanted to see what pulls up when people do pull it up on their mobile phone. So this is what pulls up?
Yep.
Is there a calendar icon on there?
I do not believe so.
So one suggestion, it's awesome. Y'all did a great job. But I think some people will go on and immediately want to know when is a police jury meeting or when's a drainage committee meeting. So one suggestion would be just put a little icon on there that says calendar or upcoming meetings, something like that. Make it real easy for them to find it.
Taking note.
But very, very happy with it. Y'all did a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On that same note, I guess you had said this isn't actually like an iPhone app or anything.
No.
It's just you got to get on like a Safari or something like that.
That is
to put it
correct,
up.
yes.
So is there any plans on making an iPhone app out of an actual app?
We don't believe so. People are not downloading as many apps as they had been. You notice every business is trying to get, Geico and State Farm. Everybody's got their app they're trying to get you to download. And so they're not updating them, they're not using them. So we didn't feel it was necessary. There is a way on most mobile phones to just take the website and drag it into your desktop. So you would have a one-click to get there. But there is not a specific app. It'll look like an app, but it's not specifically an app.
That's
I'm not sure how it on iPhones. I know it's capable on Samsung.
You can on iPhone.
Brian's got it on his. So
Okay, well, that's great.
that's our plan on how to do that. I think
Okay.
it's
We
a.
appreciate the hard work y'all put into this because the public's going to love this. Any other questions? Mr. Scott?
Hey, do we know how many hits we get on GIS every month?
I would
Roughly?
have to have. I think O'Neill might know. Or
Just a
Charles,
guess.
any ideas?
Just a guess.
Thousands.
All right. Second question. We talked in the very near future about putting our rain gauge data on the internet and all that. How far out are we from that, and is it going to be directly available through here, Mr. Wainwright?
We'll actually develop a link that goes through here. There's a rain gauge software that manages all those gauges, and so it'll ultimately be a link through here.
Like a culvert into it.
Yeah, I guess so. We're probably a couple months out with finishing the implementation of the software. So, it'll be, fairly early in 2017 when we hope to get that link established and those gauges, ready for public to look at.
All right. And the last, when you go to the one where people can report problems, can you go to that right quick for me? You had some little icons that stated you had to have specific information. Can you scroll through that so we can see exactly what kind of information?
My glasses.
What kind of information are you requiring for them to be able to report something?
I don't believe there is anything required. Only the fields with a red asterisk are required, and I don't see any of them that are.
Well, so I see it under contact information. Does that mean they got to put all that information in?
No,
Okay, so
I don't believe so.
I wonder.
Is that correct, Julie? They do have to put an email.
What if they don't want to respond? They just want to report something. I mean, so if I just want to make sure that if people put something on there and they want to, we still have to investigate it, whether we got to answer back or not. I don't want it to kick it out of the system. I mean, I would hope they'd be all right with us knowing who they are, but some people just would rather
Sure.
put it out there. And you can send a picture through that?
Not yet. We are working on that.
Because a lot of people,
Oh, absolutely.
they want to send you the problem on a picture and not talk to you.
We're
Here's the
working on
problem.
that. There's some minor issues with their server. They don't want to have files coming through their server, so we're going to have to check it through ours to make that
But we are
work.
working on that?
We are working on that. That's a priority, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Farner.
That was one of the capabilities of the Eagle app,
That's
right?
correct,
Was
yes.
that you could do a picture and send that in, and a picture's worth a million words sometimes. Any other questions? Well, thank you for the report. Item 4, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution
Move on item
approving
4.
an active
Second.
sale agreement for the purchase of property along with a utility servitude for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. We had a motion by Mr. McMillan and a second by Mr. Hunter. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 5, consideration of making a recommendation
Move
with
on item
reference to
5.
adopting a
Second.
resolution approving active sale agreements for the purchase of property for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Collins. Discussion. Objection. Motion will carry. Item 6, consideration of making a recommendation with reference
Move
to
on item
adopting a
6.
resolution
Second.
approving a utility and drainage servitude for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Hunter. Any discussion? Objection? That motion will carry. Item 7, consideration and making recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution
Second.
approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property along with utility and drainage servitude for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Hunter. Any discussion? Objection? That motion will carry. Item 8, consideration and making recommendation with reference to adopting
moved on 8.
a resolution
Second.
approving expropriation of property as well as expropriation of a servitude for utilities for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Collins. Discussion. Any objection? That motion will carry. Item 9, consideration and making recommendation with reference to
Vote 9.
adopting a resolution
Second.
approving expropriation of property for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Mr. Hunter. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 10, consideration and making a recommendation with
Move on item
reference to
10.
adopting a resolution approving expropriation of property for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Mr. McMillan made the motion, seconded by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any objection? That motion will carry. Item 11, consideration and
Move on
making a
11.
recommendation with reference to adopting an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for Calcasieu Parish, Louisiana, to establish no-through trucks on Knight Lane in Ward 3. We had a motion by Mr. Hunter, second by Mr. Latour.
Let me ask a quick question on this one.
Mr. Hunter.
Mr. Wainwright, on this is Night Lane is part parish, or Mr. Connor, part parish, part city road. Is that right?
Knight Lane is parish and Elmer Lane, which it connects to, is city.
Okay, so Knight's completely parish.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 12, consideration and making a
Move on 12.
recommendation with reference to authorizing the parish engineer to advertise for Calcasieu Parish Project Number 2017-11, Jim Kent Road Bridge Replacement Project. We had a motion by Mr. Trimmy, second by Mr. Latour. Discussion. Any objection? That motion will carry. 13, consideration and making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution accepting Calcasieu Parish Project Number 2016-01 as substantially complete. We had a motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? That motion will carry. Item 14, consideration and making a recommendation with reference to accepting
Move on 14.
Ravenwood Estates Phase 2, Part A subdivision located off Ravenway Drive in Ward 1. We had a motion by Mr. Latour, second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. 15, any other matters for consideration?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We are adjourned.
We will now come to order and to consider the proposed agenda for the regular meeting of November 3rd, 2016. The chair will entertain a motion to pull number 17.
So moved.
Move.
A motion by Mr. Fornum and a second by Mr. Hunter.
Second.
And we'll all move to number 17. First one is Ms. Carrie Vice, Community Center Playground District Number 7 Award.
I'd like to move to defer for 30 days.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Latour and a second by Mr. Hunter to defer for 30 days. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Ivan J. Tyru, Waterworks District Number
Move to
7.
reappoint
Second.
Mr.
4-6.
Ivan Tyru.
And motion to reappoint Mr. Tyru by Mrs. Trimmy and a second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Is there any other business come before this committee at this time? If
Not, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, we stand adjourned.